Hello, friends. It is Monday, January 24th, 2022, year of our Lord. My name is Kevin. I'm reviewing my favorite albums. Every album I'm reviewing is one of my favorite albums. These are all perfect 10 records, in my opinion. The two I'm doing today, I'm being a naughty Eskimo. Nanuka, no. Don't be a naughty Eskimo. I'm a naughty Eskimo. What can I say? I come by it earnestly, my naughtiness and my Eskimo-ness. But I wanted to review Eskimo by the Residents, which is impossible to review because it's barely music. I mean, there's parts of it that are really musical, actually. It might be one of the more tolerable, just on a sonic level, Residents albums in certain ways. It is kind of funky when they get to just like the tribal drum beats and the calm response with the whatever put through the voice manipulation. Anyway, I should probably start by explaining what the Eskimo record is. It's one long story. It has tracks. The tracks are called Walrus Hunt, Birth, Arctic Hysteria, Angry, Angakok. And then the second half of the record is Spirit Steals a Child, Festival of Death. This entire record is amazing. You have to listen to it start to finish, or it won't make any sense. If you do listen to it start to finish, it probably won't make any sense for the first couple times you listen to it because it's such an ambitious and crazy record. It's like a live recording of native indigenous people doing human sacrifice rituals and animals and it's doesn't sound like anything that you listen to ordinarily, unless you listen to field recordings of Inuit people, which I do not. If you have any field recordings of Inuit people, I'll give you my email. You can send them to me. I'd love to hear them. I have some cool field recordings. I should review perfect. Anyway, let's talk about Eskimo. Eskimo starts with the Walrus Hunt. Eskimo is cold. This is the main thing you need to understand about Eskimo. It's very cold and it's very windy. The wind is blowing very fast and it's freezing. And it feels like there's not an igloo in sight. It just feels like you're in the wilderness, in the deep winter, unforgiving coldness, wind blowing very fast at you. That's the general background of everything in this record. Intense wind, chilling cold. This album was freezing. If I was in a place and I was too hot and I didn't have air conditioning, I would listen to this album because it would make me colder, I think, literally. That's actually true. Neurofeedback, you can actually lower your temperature. Anyway, this album starts with a bunch of icy noise. And then there's kind of blubbery animal noise, which is this walrus, or I did some research, a selkie. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, a selkie. We know about selkies. Well, certain special people know about selkies. But yeah, magical walrus creature that lives among this tribe of people. And the tribe speak back and forth in this calm response kind of rhythm. They play these kind of primitive drums and they blow a horn. Not like a saxophone, like a one-note crude horn. And those are basically the only instruments are the wind sounds on the keyboard, which are on a pretty cheap synthesizer. And then the little percussion and the vocals run through the effects so that they have that. I can't do Residents filter acapella, sorry. But it starts with the Walrus Hunt, which is the killing of a walrus, it sounds like to me. It's a walrus moving around and kind of struggling and yelling, and then I think it's the Inuit people. They're not Inuits, they're from a magical Arctic land. Imagine, whatever. There's probably penguins there. They're in this Arctic kind of hell of cold and wind, but they form these tribes and they have fun, kind of talking back and forth, chanting with each other, and they're hungry. Probably hungry as fuck, dude. They're in the middle of like the ice caps. There's not a lot around except for these selkies. So the first song is the Walrus Hunt. They hunt and kill one of the walruses, and you hear it. The second track is Birth, which is like the sound of a baby crying. It might be him being born. I think it's actually a human sacrifice ritual. I think the tribal people are taking a newborn and they're sacrificing it because there's angry gods in this Arctic wasteland that you have to sacrifice the pure soul to, is my interpretation from literally. That's how good this album is. It implies that by playing almost nothing. Most of the noise in this album is literally wind. And it's one of the most beautiful stories I've ever heard. And it's told completely through an audio medium using incredibly primitive means. This album is beyond genius to me. It's such an anomaly of creativity that just shows the endless potential of music to do stuff that we don't even consider. Nobody thinks to make this record. I mean, please link me the people who make these records. That's like why I'm here. I want to see, is there people doing this? Because like, where are they? Anyway, Birth, yeah, human sacrifice. I think they're sacrificing probably to this angry Angakok, this god. I think he's a god. He might be a beast. He has a louder, deeper, more commanding voice than these tribes, which are kind of playful and sound like kids kind of doing back and forth, being like, they go back and forth doing that. So after the human sacrifice, there's 6 minutes of a track called Arctic Hysteria, which is mostly wind, mostly just wind blowing at different speeds, temperatures, and then the sound of what sounds like a woman, like a female indigenous person, losing her mind and screaming in pain. Which Birth also is somebody screaming in pain, but I think because they're being killed. I think this woman is just screaming in pain because she's been driven insane by the elements. Then Angakok shows up. I can't pronounce this. I have a weird impediment. Anyway, the angry Angakok. Yeah, so I think the tribal people playing their drums and having their fun, talking back and forth, they pissed off these angry beasts, these angry gods, whoever the fuck that Angakok is. I think it's one god thing that responds to them and shows up and is angry with them. And it's unclear to me exactly what happens in the plot. It sounds like the tribal people are stopping their music and they're trying to talk to the angry Angakok and like reason with him, and then he's like not taking it. It sounds like it's like an argument or exchange that's not going well, and Angakok ultimately just like lets out his rage and like, I don't know if he releases more wind or some wind-like frequency of destruction. But Angakok, you don't want to piss off Angakok. Angakok sends a bunch of wind at you, and you're gonna get blown. You're gonna get blown way away. And then that's the end of the first side. And then the second side's even better. The second side, Spirit Steals a Child. This is like the inverse of the first song, the Walrus Hunt. The indigenous people kill the walrus. They eat the selkie blubber. And then later on, as the indigenous people are there, the child from the group of these magical Arctic people, sounds like the baby gets stolen by a walrus. Selkie gets eaten by. So anyway, so we hunted the walrus. The gods got angry. We hunted the walrus. So far, we hunted a walrus. We sacrificed a child. A woman went crazy in the cold. And then God punished us and blew a bunch of wind at us. And then a walrus-like creature stole a child and ate it. And then there's this beautiful Festival of Death, which is the final song. This is the most musically compelling song on the record, in my opinion. I like this song. I just put this song in playlists. But it's the background to, I think, their celebration of the human sacrifice festival that's now reached its completion. Because we sacrificed the walrus, we ate it, and then the walrus ate the child. And the humans sacrificed the child. So on 3 levels, we have the ritual completed. Also a record that talks about Eskimos and is a 10 is Apostrophe by Frank Zappa. It opens with a suite. It opens with 2 suites, really. That Don't You Eat That Yellow Snow and Nanook Rubs It are basically just like one long song, which is about... It's really fun. Musically, it's really playful. There's lots of different instruments. There's violins and vibes and trumpets and different kinds of keyboards and different guitars, and it's very lush, the orchestration on this. It's some of Zappa's best, just like composing in a melodic way. And the sense of humor kind of makes it palatable, I think. People who wouldn't like listen to Waka Jawaka will listen to this record and hear Waka Jawaka secretly behind dick jokes and doo-doo snow cones. But yeah, Don't You Eat That Yellow Snow, Nanook Rubs It is awesome. I love St. Alphonse's Pancake Breakfast, Ruth Underwood's vibes thing in the beginning with the really cheesy sounding 80s synth noise to open it. And then Father Oblivion is like the conclusion of St. Alphonse's Pancake Breakfast, in the same way that Nanook Rubs It is the conclusion of Don't Eat That Yellow Snow. And Oblivion's like, yeah, it's like, but if I feel right, we'll make a fortune by tonight, right? It's that. So, anyway, it's like, there are 2 songs that they, for some reason, made into 4 songs. Then the last song, Cosmic Debris, is an amazing song. It's really funky. It's really funny. It's about, like, pseudo-spiritual people who try to sell you on some bullshit, and Zapp is just being like, he's, like, listening to this guy claiming all this cosmic knowledge and all this stuff, and then he basically proves the guy is full of shit and just... The price of meat has just gone up and your old lady has just gone down. Ooh, brother, who you driving with that cosmic debris? Now, is that a real poncho or is that a Sears poncho? Eccentrical Force is not a good song to me. It's just kind of filler. I mean, it's fine. I love Frank Zappa. It sounds like just kind of a random leftover Frank Zappa song to me, honestly. Apostrophe, however, is amazing. I love this guitar line. It's one of my favorite, one of the catchiest, one of the best Frank Zappa guitar lines. And he has Jack Bruce from Cream playing. Now, Zappa's kind of a tyrant in his bands, so he kind of only lets people play exactly the parts that he writes. But because it's Jack Bruce, he's going to fucking Jack Bruce cream it up, and he's going to, like, drop some bass bombs. So it's awesome to hear Zappa playing a simple progression with a busy bass line, because it's just a different side than we get to hear from Zappa, because he demands such precision of the people he's playing with, despite the fact that his guitar style is the least precise. Whatever. Zappa, genius. Narcissist, but a genius. Uncle Remus is a great song. It sounds basically like Cosmic Debris musically. And there's a good George Duke solo. There's a good guitar solo. And it's about... This song is actually, like, serious. This song's actually about, like, black people and civil rights and stuff. It doesn't really fit with the pancake breakfasts and the naughty Eskimo with the poo. Stinkfoot I love. Past the breezes to the place where they keep the imaginary diseases. Stinkfoot, you don't want to get Stinkfoot. Let me tell you. Stinkfoot it'll give you, Anyway, it's a good song. It's funky. There's, like, a guitar workout. The lyrics are funny. It moves through different composed parts. All of these songs move through different composed parts that are very precise, very impressive. These are all very good musicians. You have, like, Jean-Luc Ponty. You have George Duke. You have Ainsley Dunbar. Like, you have Ainsley Dunbar. Sorry. Can't pronounce. One of the greats. You have, like, world-class musicians. And it's in his prime era of composing. And it sits neatly in his discography as one of his best records. So Apostrophe and Eskimo are 2 albums you really need to listen to right away. Especially Eskimo. It's the winner. Do yourself a favor. Listen to what the winner is, really. If you wanna peel back. We're almost at 15, right? Well, I guess Hare Krishna, and treat others the way you would like to be treated.